Alright guys, what's up? Today I'm going to be showcasing you guys my top 16 Infernoble deck profile. This is the list that I took to LCS number 5, the one that happened this past weekend on August 8th. I was really happy with this list. I did make some minor changes to it, and I'll be showing that at the end of the video as well, and I'll show you guys a comparison between like the list I played and then, you know, after playing through the tournament, what are some changes I would make, just so you guys can get some value out of, you know, that insight from all the testing that I did playing through 7 rounds. So in 7 rounds of Swiss, here were my matchups. First was the Infernoble Mirror. I 2-0'd that pretty convincingly, and that was because it was one of 2 RPS that I won. And then game 1, I just opened full combo, hand ripped him, hit his starters, set up way too many negates, and then yeah, he just scoops. He actually blind scooped, so I had no idea what he was playing. And then game 2, I essentially had Imperm for his Soul Day, and that was enough to essentially win the game. He did have a gear free negate on the board, but that wasn't enough to that was not enough for me to I was able to push through 1 negate. Round 2, I played Invoke Dragma, so like the standard Invoke Dragma list, but it had a bunch of hand traps. So the way I won that was I lost RPS, so I automatically lost game 1 because he just had way too much. And in game 2 and 3 post side, I won game 2 because I full comboed. I played through a bunch of hand traps and I hit his starter engine. So like he double hand trapped me, but then I ripped out his... He actually gamma my soul and I played through the whole thing. And then at end phase, when I Charlemagne hand ripped him, I ripped out his Ecclesia, so he had no starters. So he was hoping to top deck a starter because the rest of his hand was like dead invocations and like just dead cards. So like and I had like 3 negates on top of that. So it was Savage Herald, Charlemagne. So, and he had no starters. He had to top deck a starter. So 2 negates on top of that was just game for game 2. And then game 3, opened full combo, but I just broke through the whole board because I gammaed his Alistair, and so he had no access to Mechaba. And then because he had no access to his Alistair, he doesn't really have access to his Dragma engine. So I just full combo and then kill him. Because the only way you get Dragma access, and that's why Gamma is so powerful this format, is because if you Gamma the Alistair, they can't make Almirage, which means like they can't get access to their Dragma engine. So like when you try to Imperm, Ashe, Valor, the Alistair, they still just link it off for Almirage and then secure Garnet, and then they still have like some sort of interruption with the Dragma engine. But in this case, that's why like the Gamma engine is so good, and you guys will see the deck profile really soon. And then round 3, I played against Elic Synchro Dragma. So this was like Elic Dragma, but with like the Synchro engine. And this played like a decent chunk of hand traps as well. This was 2-1, lost RPS. Like I said, game 1, I just pushed through his entire board because this deck just plays through infinite hand traps. And like it played through like so many interruption. Game 2 was kind of rough because he went first and then just essentially had way too much interruption for me, and I couldn't play through it. And then game 3, we essentially entered a grind game, but Gearfried is like the MVP, and this match was actually featured on Luxury Gaming's Twitch channel. And essentially I outgrinded him with the Gearfried, and the way I did that was I used the Gearfried to take his Golden Lord, and so I essentially prevented him from Golden Lord access, which was pretty nuts. And so I took that match 2-1. 4, I lost RPS again. So you guys will find out I lost 5 out of 7 RPS, and a lot of the questions that I'm getting around this deck is like, can this deck play Go Second? Well, if I lost 5 RPS and I went X2 in 7 rounds, I essentially won basically I won 3 out of 5 Go Second matches, or like matches that I lost the dice roll. And so that goes to show how good this deck is, even though you lose the dice roll. And it's a very tough deck to pilot, but it's really rewarding when you play really well. But I lost to the Dragon Link player. Essentially he won RPS, full combo with me, Heretic Seal, Buster Lock, Savage, and Herald. Savage, Herald, Buster Lock, and Heretic Seal. So I just couldn't play through it. The Buster Lock was definitely the thing that I couldn't beat. And then yeah, full comboed him game 2. Game 3 full comboed me. I had no outs. So that was round 4. So that was I was X1 by round 4, and then the last round of day 1, which was round number 5, was the Infernoble Mirror, and I took that match 2-0 as well. So the Infernoble Mirror wasn't too bad. This was the second dice roll I won. Yeah, this was the second dice roll I won. So the dice rolls that I won were all Infernoble Mirrors, but everything else I lost a dice roll, which was kind of sad. So because I won the dice roll in the mirror, which is really good, because if you lose a dice roll in the mirror, it's really hard. But then because like if you main droplets or you main Dark Ruler, like unless you top it as your 6th card, you're gonna lose it, which is why like it's really hard for like to play in the mirror, because you can't really side and blowout or like main deck blowout cards against them. You're just gonna lose it to Charlemagne. And then you have round 6. I played Alec Dragma. I played against Ivan, my boy. He's awesome. That was a really good match. He was playing Alec Dragma. It was just like decent back and forth. But game 3, I just opened the nuts and just pushed through his entire board. I actually played through Nibiru in this game, and so if you guys are interested, I'll show some replays, some like highlights and iconic replays from this tournament, maybe in like another video, just so you guys can see like some of the technical plays I made to play through Gamma on Sol Day, Nibiru on my Link Ross Genba play, like, and essentially how to play through multiple hand traps. And then round 7, which was the bubble round, because I was X1 at this point and this was the last round. So I essentially lost the RPS for Adamantipator's, and game 1 I got full comboed, but then I almost broke the board, but it didn't matter because he actually main decked Dark Ruler. So he was actually just gonna Dark Ruler me, and then he had Block Dragon in the grave. And this is where like I wish I played Trishula in my extra deck instead of the Herald, and you guys will see that as I transition to the deck profile pretty soon. And yeah, I mean that was pretty much it. And then game 3 he had a pointer, and yeah, that I just couldn't beat that. So that was pretty much it, guys, for like the matches. And now we'll get into the deck profile. Alright guys, so this is the list as you guys see right here. I'll start off with 3 Fireflame. This is one of the best extenders because it doesn't have a restriction on attribute, and because you play the Neospace engine, you want to have Fireflame Lady, but it's also an extender that gets you a Fire Warrior on the board, which makes your Renaud live. It's also a Fire Warrior monster, which makes her a Soulful live, because a Soulful just needs to banish any Fire Warrior to like extend. So I really like this card. The other cool interaction with Fireflame Lady is you can actually use her effect and then special summon Ogier from the hand, and it makes it so Ogier can't be targeted. But why that interaction is important is essentially because there's some situations where like you want to like essentially like you couldn't normal summon Ogier to dump the Gearfried. You went normal summon Connector, it got hand trapped. Then you went summon Fireflame and you have the Ogier still in hand. But because you obviously cannot normal summon it again, you can, but you have like the you either have the Gearfried in your hand and you need to dump an Infernoble arms. You can then use Fireflame Lady, special summon the Ogier from your hand, dumping Durandal, and then you can then have Gearfried automatically live. And then you have triple Gearfried. A lot of people have been debating 1, 2, or 3. Like people aren't really sure yet, and I can definitely attest to the fact that this card is a 3 of. It's a non-searchable card in the deck, and it's also a Fire Warrior, and it's only technically searchable through a 2-card combo with Ogier plus Renaud, or any 2 versions to get to Ogier or Renaud, right? That's the only way this combo is like you can search Gearfried. Other than that, you want to hard open this because it helps you break boards going second, and going first, it's a way for you to play through a lot of hand traps. So I mean, this card is like so nuts, and in the grind game, Gearfried is just like so crazy, and it's really hard to out, especially as you start to equip Oliver and Ogier to it. Next, we play triple Renaud. A lot of people for some reason have been playing 2 Renaud. I've seen like deck profiles playing 2 Renaud. You definitely want to play 3 of this. This is a card you want to hard open because it lets you, when you go like Sol Day mill 2, you can like mill Living Fossil and let's say autonomous unit. But it lets you add back Living Fossil, which is an extra extender. So it's a free special summon that gets you another free special summon. And so it also converts itself to a tuner. And it's a card that there's a mill 1 Sol Day combo, and you need Renauds for that. Then you have a Stolful. A Stolful is really strong. It's a card that not a lot of people play or even know about. And the reason why I want to highlight this card is, first of all, if you read its effect, you can only use each of its effect once per duel. If that isn't an indication of this card being absolutely insane, then I hope that, like, you know, changes your mind. Anyways, a Stolful has, I'll just explain the effect because it's not widely known, and I'll have the text pull up on the screen so you guys can, like, you know, so it's clear for you guys to read it. But the first effect is it banishes any Fire Warrior monster from your hand or graveyard to special summon itself, and then it matches the level of the card banished. A lot of people actually thought I was cheating because I went, people were like, wait, isn't a Stolful level 1? How'd you make Savage? Because I had 2 level 3, I had Meta Marcher, a level 3 token, and then a Soulful, and they're like, that's 7. You can't do that. And I'm like, bro, I banished Genba. Because I banished Genba, it becomes level 2. Trust. Anyways, so it's able to modify this level, but why it's really important versus like Renault or Firefin Lady, because it's an extender that does not require for you to control a warrior monster or a fire warrior monster. So like, for example, Fireflint Lady and Renault are amazing extenders, but they're extenders only if you control bodies on the board. But because I've seen people playing Ogre this format, Gamma this format, it's sometimes really hard for you to stick a body on the board because you're going to get Gamma and Ogred. And that's why, also, if you get Nibiru'd, you control a rock level 10 token. So, like, you can't really extend with Renault or Fireflint Lady in that case. But that's where a Soulful really shines, because it lets you extend past Gamma, past Ogre, and past Nibiru. Because it gets you a Fire Warrior body on the field, which lets you then use Renault to keep playing. And that's the beauty of this card. It also has a second effect, which is amazing, which is it helps you in the grind game so much, is you can banish itself from the graveyard, and during the second standby phase, your second standby phase after you make this card or activate this card, you can special summon any Fire Warrior monster in the banish pile or the graveyard pile. And so what this does is it ultimately sets you up for success, because it ensures that, like, even if they somehow break your board, they Dark Ruler you, like etc, right? Which I'll explain like how to play around blow cards with this deck too. It essentially puts it so that, bro, by the time that second standby phase comes, I'm gonna have a negate on the board right away, and it puts up even more pressure, because in the grind game, having an extra gear feed on the board is just like insane. Next, we play double Ogier. Ogier is really strong. The reason I'm playing like a weird ratio, aka like 2 instead of, like, let's say pack, why not 3 or 1, right? That those are like the only 2 numbers. Well, the reason why I play 2 and not 3 or 1 is because, first of all, you have 7 other copies in your deck. You have 3 Durandal, 3 Heritage, and a Rhoda, plus 2 Ogier. So you technically have 9 copies of this card, and it wasn't a card that I wanted to see multiple ofs. I only wanted to see 1 Ogier at a time in my starting hand, and so that was like the first reason. And when you play that 2, you have you basically have a, like, not a high chance to see double and not a low chance to see 1. So and that's like the reason. But also because Ogier is a really fantastic card. It dumps you Gear Freed so that you can Monster Reborn it, or you can add it back with the Renault combo or like the Durandal combo. Then you play triple Oliver. So a lot of people aren't playing triple Oliver, they're playing 2 Oliver. A lot of deck lists, actually, you'll find a lot of lists are actually playing 2 Oliver because they think it's too costly to, like, mill 1 from your hand or equip spell, etc. Well, first of all, Oliver in your starting hand is really strong, especially because I play a lot of Fire Warriors in the deck. And it also can send equip spells. So, like, technically, if you dump Phoenix Blade, you can actually, you know, add the Phoenix Blade to your hand and then dump it to summon Oliver. So it's technically a free special summon. But this is another situation in where it's an extender that doesn't require for you to control a Fire Warrior monster or a Warrior monster on the field. And that's why Oliver is really nuts, because a Soulful and Oliver serves as ways to play through Nibiru, Gamma, any sort of hand trap that, like, or interruption that makes you lose bodies on the board. And I'm talking about Dragma Punishment. I'm talking about, like, Conquistador, essentially, like, the opponent's Charles. Like, so basically interruption that, like, destroys cards on your field so that you don't control anything. Is essentially why Oliver is really good. It lets you extend past that. And if you guys have been watching my Twitch stream this past weekend, you'll find that Oliver essentially is the main reason why, like, I literally got Nibiru'd and still Halki Fiber combo him, and that still ends up on, like, a really oppressive board. Then you play Genba. Technically you can get Kagemusha, which is like the level 2 Earth. You can technically play any level 2 tuner, but it specifically has to be a level 2 tuner. That's a warrior, because it's a card that you want to summon off of Soul Day to facilitate your combo. So just so you guys know, this deck is very hard to play, but it's really rewarding when you understand how to play it. And what I mean by that is that there's generally, like, I would say right now there's around 6 variations of combos that you can do to get to the full end board, and that's not even like the end of it. And so there's a mill 1, mill 2, and a mill 4 combo for the Soul Day, and Genba facilitates the mill 2 combo, and so that's why Genba is really nice. Then in terms of, like, the tuners, you have Jet Synchron and O-Line. You probably noticed I'm not playing Vonsphere. I actually cut that card out last minute. I was originally playing this card at 46, and, like, literally right before decklist was loot, like 5 minutes before, I cut out 1-for-1 and I cut out Vionsphere just because I felt that 1-for-1 was too taxing on, like, my hand advantage. And the Vionsphere only comes up in one variation of the combo, which is Basically, if you didn't open Durandal, you can basically send Durandal and Living Fossil for 2, and then it basically lets you recycle back Durandal, use Durandal to search for Nald, and then when you make Roland, you can then add back Living Fossil and keep extending. So I decided that because it only came up in one combo, it wasn't worth it to like play it because it might be a quote-unquote a brick in my hand. So I decided not to play that. But so I played Jet and O-Line instead as my 2. Technically, you can cut the Jet for Vion because the Jet's second effect doesn't really come up in the full combo. It's just like an extender for the following turn. Like, you actually don't use the Jet's graveyard effect, depending on which combo. One variation of the combo does, the other variation doesn't. And I would show you guys all the combos right now so you guys understand it better. But give it a shot first, like with a deck list. And then I'll post a video on the combo tutorial, like probably later, because there's so many variations to like cover. Then you play O-Line. Not much to say. O-Line's O-Line. The cool thing about this deck is even if you hard draw O-Line or hard draw Genba, you can actually still full combo people. And that's like something that a lot of decks can't do. I mean, that's why a lot of lists would play like double O-Line. But the fact is, this deck actually combos even if you hard draw the O-Line. That's a fun fact. Like I said, that's why I'm saying there's like 6 variations, because there's also variations where you hard draw O-Line, variations where you hard draw Genba, etc. Then you play triple Neospace Connector. This is like literally the best normal summon of the deck, and there's no, and some of you might be asking, yo, Pack, why no Sublimation Knight? Yo, Sublimation Knight, it's nice, bro. It's Fire Warrior. False synergy. You guys fell for it. It's a trap. Literally, Sublimation Knight is garbage. It's terrible. It's literally terrible. Squeak Knight is even worse because it's a brick. Dolphin, not a brick. That's like the biggest difference. But I'll go into why Sublimation Knight is worse than Neospace Connector and why I don't think you actually play Sublimation Knight. First of all, Sublimation Knight is true, it's a 1-card combo, and a lot of you guys like 1-card combos, especially on YouTube. And what you see is when you watch on YouTube, you see like, oh, people are showing the 1-card combo with Sublimation Knight. Well, here's the problem with that. First of all, Sublimation Knight doesn't actually, like, no one is gonna Gamma your Sublimation Knight, no one's gonna imperm. They hold it for the Soul Day, right? Whereas the Aqua Dolphin plus the Neospace Connector, it forces out hand traps. It like forces out your opponent. Be like, they better imperm this. They like, if they don't imperm this and I see their hand, I'm playing through the impermanence. Like, let's be real. Like, when you have public knowledge of their opponent's hand, even if they hold imperm and don't even use and won't use it on Dolphin, the fact that I see your whole hand, bro, this deck plays through 1 interruption like nothing else. So that was never the issue. So having that knowledge of your opponent's hand just makes it so that you can play around every single card in their hand. And because you do this before you make Assault, you can actually determine where variation of the combo you want to go down to best play around their current hand. And that's like what's really, really nice about Aqua Dolphin and Neospace Connector. The reason why I play 2 Aqua Dolphin instead of 1 is because there are situations where if you open the Space Connector, you want to search the second space for the follow-up on the following turn. And that's like the main reason why I play the second Aqua Dolphin. And Aqua Dolphin isn't even a bad card to hard open. That's why like I don't mind like having a normal summon Aqua Dolphin, look at their hand, extend with Firefin Lady, and then it's pretty good from there. Also, Aqua Dolphin actually comes up the discard effect because there are situations where like if you open up like a Monster Reborn or a Living Fossil on top of Dolphin, you can just Dolphin pitch whatever you want and Living Fossil it back. So like the discard does actually come up. Like sometimes you want cards in the grave. If you open it up with like Jet Synchron, for example, you can go Dolphin dump Jet Synchron. So like sometimes the mill 1 actually does come up. And that's why like I really like Dolphin. Then you play hand trap of choice. Only hand trap in the deck is 3 Gamma. There's a specific reason why I played Gamma instead of like any other hand trap. First of all, I think it's the best hand trap of this format. It's a hand trap that makes the opponent lose its monster instead of just negating it. And I already explained against the Invoke Dragma deck, if you Gamma the Alistair, it's better than just imperming or ashing it because they still keep the Alistair to make Almirage, which lets them make Dragma plays. Against like the Infernoble deck, like Gamma is really hard to play through. Like they can play through it, like this deck can play through it, but they have to play a specific way and sequence their hand to play around it, perfectly. Which is, I don't like, if players aren't doing that, then they will lose to Gamma. The other thing that Gamma is really, really strong is against Adamanticators, they do lose the body. So like if they go normal summon Analyzer as their normal summon, or they go normal summon Doki, like losing the body makes it so that they don't have the researcher to extend. So Gamma is really, really nuts. But here's like the even bigger spice. You play E-Telly. you play E-Tele, and yes, you're probably thinking like, Pack, you're on crack. What is wrong with you? Well, E-Tele is really nuts because you notice that like Genba is summoned off of Sold, right? Well, let's say they imperm your Soul Day to special summon from the deck. Well, if you have E-Tele, you play through that. You're like, okay, I still get a level 2 tuner, and if I get a level 2 tuner, I still full combo. It doesn't have to be specifically Genba. It's just that Genba is a Fire Warrior level 2 tuner is why we chose it for this Sold. So that's why E-Tele is nice. So unless you play through like legit imperm on the Soul Day, and this is one of the ways you play through impermanence. Then you play Triple Durandal. It's eroded for the archetype. Not much to say about this. The second effect does actually come up because there are situations where you can actually reborn back your Ogier, and then Ogier can actually dump a Soulful for the follow-up, or dump like Gearfried, etc. So that does come up sometimes. Heritage of the Challenge. 3 more Rotas in the deck. It's just like E-Call, except it's hard once per turn. But I mean, this deck is super consistent, as you can see. 1 Phoenix Blade because you use a lot of cards that actually discard cards from your hand. So like Dolphin discards, Jet discards, Coral Dragon discards. So Phoenix Blade just makes it so you maintain hand advantage. You technically could cut it and play Autonomous Action Unit, in my opinion. You play Living Smoke Grenade. I mean, not much to say about this. It rips a card out of your opponent's hand. Living Fall. So this card is probably the MVP of equipped spells, and I love this card so much. I think if this card wasn't a hard activate once per turn card, I would actually play this card at 3. Living Fossil, it's amazing. Like, such an amazing card, to be honest. And that Monster Reborn effect is just, it's just so good. It lets you play through so much, and if you hard draw it, it's actually really, really good. Because if you get stopped on the Soul Day, you can actually just reborn back a tuner, such as like Oliver. If you use Oliver to extend into it, full combo. Magical Brick Breaker. So now we're gonna go into like the broken, you know, one-ofs. Mid-breaker field. Not much to say. They can't target your cards. They can't gamma you. They can't imperm you. Can't Veiler you. You're chilling. This card is amazing. And then you're probably thinking like, Pack, well, like, you know, this card is not that great because technically it makes your Charlemagne dead, right? Because your Charlemagne can't pop the card on the field now. Like, it won't resolve. Well, nah, I thought about that already, and I already incorporated that into like the deck building, which is what you do with that variation. With if you hard draw the mid-breaker field, you actually go for a hand rip on their turn. And what do I mean by this? What I mean by this is easy. You Smoke Grenade on your turn, right? And then you equip the Smoke Grenade at end phase, and then use Roland to equip to Charles. Charles, pop your own Smoke Grenade, the second one that you equipped, and you look at their hand after they play, of course, because Roland only triggers in main phase, so you have to wait for them to play a card because of player priority. But after they play a card, I have to roll in effect, pop my own Smoke Grenade. I can't pop the monster on your board, but I can pop my own cards. And then by popping my own Smoke Grenade, bro, they already lost 2 cards. They have 4 cards to play with, and then 2 negates. I mean, that's not the easiest board to crack, that's for sure. So that's why it doesn't really conflict. And then you have Emergency Teleport. So E-Tele is really, really nice, like I said already, for the Gamma. So it's just broken one-ofs. Monster Reborn, another broken one-of. Alright, Ash, Imperm. Like if this card lets you play through Impermanence because you can reborn a tuner. You can actually reborn an extender to make into like go into combo. So it's really, really good for that. Reasoning. This card is like the spiciest one of. And it's super, super spicy. I actually told Kamal to play this last minute. I don't think he put it in his deck list, but he and I both agree this card is nuts. So, first of all, look at the levels in this deck. You have 1s, you have 9s, you have 4s, you have 2s, and 3s. So, the reason why we play Reasoning is because, essentially, if you mill equips, it makes your Gearfried live. And if you hit a Gearfried, which I did during the LCS, if you guys watched the stream, it was actually a feature match, it gets you a free negate. You can also, like, there are a lot of cards in your graveyard that actually plus you. So, for example, if you hit, like, equip spells, you can actually get them back with Renauld. So, like, it's actually pretty good. And you can also hit a Genba, a tuner. You can also hit, like, Jet Synchron, Olan. You can hit tuners off this. So, it basically becomes a tuner extender. And one of the things that this deck lacks is tuner extenders, for sure. And so, that's why I decided to play Reasoning. Then I'm playing Rhoda, another broken one of. Searches every card in your deck. So, yeah, I don't need to explain this. And then 3, TTT. This card was broken. And I say this in, like, with a slight grain of salt. So, essentially, TTT is really, really broken in the sense that, like, okay, first of all, we have to understand the role of TTT. So, TTT, which is Triple Tactics Talent. I just call it TTT. It's just so much easier. But Triple Tactics Talent is a card that is, I think, identical. It's not identical, but it's similar to Call by the Grave. And so, for example, when we look at Impermanence and Veiler, they're kind of like substitutes, right? But they have their own differences and like they have their own uniqueness. Well, TTT and Call by the Grave is very similar in that instance. But the reason why I think TTT is amazing in a deck like Infernoble is because this deck plays through so many interruptions already, right? Like, there's so many times during this tournament that I've played through 2 hand traps. I TTT them for the last card. They have 2 cards left in hand. Charlemagne rip one. They have 1 card in their hand. They're top decking a card. Yeah, like that's, and then so Call by the Grave lets your card resolves, but the thing is you're already gonna resolve your combo anyways. Tactics just lets me see your hand and rip a card on top of all of that. So that's like the reason why you would play it. So like that's I hope that explains to you guys like the biggest difference between the two. Like Call by the Grave ensures that your plays go through, etc. But then Tactics, it says you can hand trap me. It's not gonna matter, and on top of that, I'm gonna punish you for hand trapping me, and I think that's why Tactics is really nuts. Like you can get gammaed, Tactics take their gamma, extend 1 card, make fiber combo. You can Tactics look at if they ash you on like let's say Neospace, because Neospace guarantees bait to ash. Tactics look at the rest of the hand. All right, have full information, full combo, and I think that's what like Tactics does that like no other card in the game really does right now. So I really like this card. Then we'll go into like the extra deck. So we play Borderless Savage as part of the combo. Not much to say. Coral Dragon, technically you don't have to play this card, but it is nice being able to go second with this and pop a card and draw one. It's kind of good. But technically you can just make Charles with it, because the only time you make Coral is when you have Metal Marcher and 2 level 3 tokens. So you go Metal into Coral and then Coral into Charles, and you draw one. And you can pop 1 card along the way. Double Herald, this was my biggest regret of the entire tournament. Double Herald does come up, but I realized it's actually not that good. And I wish I played Trishula, because I actually would have been top 8 if I did. I decided to play Double Herald last minute because I got convinced to. And essentially, there's actually a variation of the combo that ends on Gearfried, Savage, Double Herald. And I actually didn't make that combo the whole time because it just realized you have too much. And so yeah, it just never came up, the second Herald, honestly. I kind of wish I didn't play the second Herald. Ignominight of High Lost Land. This comes up in the combo if you hard draw Ogier plus Renaud, or basically Ogier plus Renaud. That's like the only variation in my hand, in like my deck, that you can get. The other variations, if you go Ogier and then you somehow hit Reasoning and you hit the Renaud, then that technically... Oh, sorry, you hit the Jet Synchron, then technically you can do that play too. But that's like the only thing that combos. There's like that's like a specific combo that you do with High Lost Land. You have Captain Roland. Captain Roland is really nuts. Not much to say about it. This is one of the cards I wish got a foil reprint. Hopefully soon. I honestly would really like for him to be like a Starlight Rare. He's actually amazing. And then we have Emperor Charles. This card is the most broken card in the entire deck. Probably the best card in the entire extra deck, besides like Hulky Fibrax and Sold. This card does so much for the deck. Like being equipped with Ogier, with Oliver, makes it so this card becomes like towers. Like it's really hard for a lot of decks to out. But then just for the hand loop itself is just so nuts. And it triggers whenever an equip card becomes equipped. So like if you play against Plunders, it technically would trigger against the Plunder deck. And it also triggers when Boral Savage equips a monster for its effect. It actually triggers then too. So it's really cool applications of that. Metal Marcher, not much to say. It's a synchro deck. Omega is really nuts. If you play Omega correctly, people always forget that when Omega's in the graveyard, you can actually target one other card in the graveyard, including your opponent's graveyard, and then shuffle it back into the deck. So this is actually one of the ways that you can actually make Omega link it off with Jet Synchron into Charles, and then use Omega's effect to shuffle back the opponent's Block Dragon into their deck. Then you play Hulky Fibrax. Not much to say. I kind of want to play this card at 2 because playing this card at 2 lets you full combo with just Fiber. Isolde, not much to say. Like Isolde is Isolde. Phoenix, out like back row cards, bait it. It was okay. It never came up for me. Link Cross, and then Mecha Phantom Beast or Rodon. For the side deck, you have 1 Pank, not much to say. Broken 1-ofs, right? So like Pank, Reboot, IO. Just really broken cards. IO lets you play around Droplets is the main reason why I have it, because they technically could top it as a 6 card, even though you do hand rip them. You play around Dark Ruler always because Charles rips it out of their hand, so they have to like they specifically have to top Dark Ruler as their 6th card. So like hard drawing Dark Ruler is not good enough. And let's say they draw a double Dark Ruler, that's totally fine. I'll just rip another card, a starter out of their hand. So that's like the main reason. And then you have triple Dark Ruler over the droplets in this situation. The only reason why is because droplets is pretty costly, and Dark Ruler, once you set up the full board, Dark Ruler plus Gear Free breaks any board, so that's not much to say. And then for the back row decks, you have Lightning Storm evenly match, not much to say. The Dragman deck has no out to evenly match. They have no defensive card to play around evenly match. That's why evenly match is really insane against their Dragman deck. You just like banish everything. Like I don't care if you set up Ecclesia Fluid Elite in the hand, like punishment, bruh, battle, end of battle. Alright, it's a wrap. And then 3 Imperm. I like Imperm because for the mirror match, it's not good to have blowout cards like Dark Ruler. You rather want to have the Impermanence to stop them from getting to Charles in the first place, because or else they're going to hand rip a card out of you. And Imperm is really good because a lot of people are playing also TTT, so it plays around that. But that's pretty much it, guys. Now I'm going to be showcasing the variation and the changes that I would make to this deck going forward, just so that you guys can get value out of that. Alright guys, we're back, and now this is basically the updated list that I would play if I were to like change anything about it. So first off, I would cut Ogier to 1. I realized you can actually just play this card at 1, and then I would cut Dolphin to 1, and then add an autonomous action unit for the main deck. So that bumps it, that makes it like 43. Cut Ogier and cut Dolphin because you actually don't need the second Dolphin. The grind game doesn't really come up because you sometimes just automatically win game like turn 1 anyways if you full combo. And then Ogier is you have 8 other ways to search it, so you're chilling. You have 3 Durando, 3 Chalice, like Rhoda, so cutting 1 doesn't actually hurt the consistency at all, and it only comes up in 1 part of the combo, so you want to normal summon Space Connector most of the time anyways. So you have like Ogier and then 3 Neo Space Connectors, so that's 4 normal summon. Rhodas gets you the 5th normal summon. I think that's pretty solid, and then technically you have 3 more Chalice, so that's 8 normal summons without anything on the board, so not counting Durando. And then in terms of the extra deck, I cut out the extra Herald and then I added in Trishula, and that's pretty much it, guys. So this is like the only change I would make to the list if you wanted my opinion based on the testing I've done. Yeah, guys, if you guys want to see a combo video, let me know in the comment section below. Like I said, there's like 6 variations of this combo. Even Shooping, like, you know, like if you guys want to check out Shooping's channel, I'll have him listed in the description box below too, because he also played Infernoble at this event, and we both top 16 it. So I figured you get to see his take on the deck. And I'm also gonna talk about how what do you call it? I'm also gonna talk about how this list or this deck and how it differs from like Shu's list, right? We both have different theories on the deck, so I hope you guys get to compare. So definitely go check out Shooping's channel and look at his list as well to see the differences between the two. Like I said, there's a lot of combos, and like I think Shu also mentioned on stream that this deck feels like learning C++ or like a coding language. Like it's just like really difficult to learn, but it's really rewarding, and I find decks like those that are really technically challenging really fun. And so I hope you guys have a blast with it too. Take this deck out, give it a spin, and let me know how it goes for you guys. And without further ado, I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for your support, guys. We're at 5,000 subscribers finally, and expect a lot of, you know, amazing content coming soon, and a 5K special video coming out. I'm in the process of filming all that, so hopefully it comes out by next Sunday. I know we already hit 5K, but I'm in the process of filming everything for it. But anyways, guys, thank you so much, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.